And with that, let me get started. For everyone who's joining us for the first time, welcome to Design the Life You Love, the new normal edition. This is our virtual Wednesday tea, 5 p.m. New York time. And for some of you, it's midnight or close to midnight. So thank you so much for joining us. And every week we get together and do 1 or 2 exercises from our toolbox of designing our life and work. And it's an opportunity for all of us to be together, to think differently and collaborate. And we have, every week we have one super special guest. And this week we have my dear friend, Alyssa Cohn, who's joining us and who might already be here. I didn't see her yet, but she'll be here. And with that, let's get started. And Seda is driving our slideshow so that I can see the chat box at the same time. But this is our collective heart welcoming you with excitement to another virtual tea. And my team is here with us. So that is Seda Eves and Meltem Parlak and Leah Kaplan. And with that, let's see. We have a warm-up exercise that we'll use to get into the creative space together, and we have a new one today. I had mentioned that one of our regulars, Todd Churches, inspired us to try on different warm-up exercises, creative exercises. So we've been doing that, and then we'll use the Metamorphosis exercise. And some of you might already have used the Metamorphosis exercise together with us. But what we found is that even like if we've used it, that was probably a month and a half ago. And this today could be a way to deepen the knowledge and the expertise around the exercise. And we've found that every time we do an exercise, we think of new things. So I hope you'll find the same thing. And then I mentioned Alyssa Cohn joining us. And very quickly, this is a reminder for most of you, but for people who were at Alex's, I talked about this today as well. Really what we're doing is we're thinking like designers, and this is something we can all do. And it's about thinking optimistically, no matter how hard the problem. We're determined to have a positive outlook, and that outlook gives us the energy to think differently. We have empathy for ourselves and for each other. And Seda, thank you. We strive to see things holistically, because that allows us to make new connections, connect dots in new ways. We ask what if questions, like what if we use a metaphor today? It's really about having an open mind and working collaboratively, which the chat box is our collaboration playground, and it's super, super useful to share ideas and to build on each other's ideas. And then the last bit is our mood is playful, because when we're playing, we're like kids. We're not afraid of making mistakes. We're trying different things. And really, there's so many things right now that we're all learning together. We can only be playful, because really most of our expertise on any level has gone out the window, and we're like all like kids learning new stuff. So with that, let's be playful together. And so our first tool is the creative exercise. And just to set the stage, I mean, we start everything with a creative exercise to kind of remind ourselves in our brains that we're entering into the creative space, and it allows us to think differently. So today what we're going to do is we're going to pick a metaphor about how we're feeling right now and go with the first thing that comes to our mind. So put the metaphor into the chat box, as well as we're going to draw it. So, oh, there's a, somehow somebody's drawing goes on our screen. That's funny. But Seda, are you still showing the, yeah, cool. I think Seda, do you have my example in the next? No, okay. So let me share my screen and I'll show it from my screen. First, get out of my, okay. I did this, you know, I do my own exercises to make sure that they work. So I did this just today. So it's fresh out of the oven. Bear with me for a second. This is what I meant. We're all experimenting together now. Let's see. There we go. Okay, everybody can see my screen? I think so. Yeah. So this was my metaphor as I thought about it. And you can see me on screen, on stage, and the backstage. So basically my metaphor is that I'm feeling like I'm on stage when I'm working, and my backstage is my home and family. So if you were here with me, I mean, you see me and a white background, but this actually is a foam core background. Ta-da! That cleans all the background visual noise that I have. And then, you know, I have music and I have lights and then I have makeup stuff. So anyways, I have chores, I have family and my weights. So this is, that's my metaphor. With that, I'm going to stop sharing and I'm going to ask you, please put the first metaphor that comes to your mind about how you're feeling into the chat box, but also very importantly, please draw it because you know that when we're drawing, we're using one side of our brains. When we're writing, we're using another side. And together, it's really these two things complete each other and truly we start to think differently. And the other thing I wanted to remind you, no masterpieces. Really, you don't need to make the drawings precious. It's really the activity of drawing that's important. Who cares about the beauty of the drawing? I mean, I try hard to draw something nice for you because that's, you know, it's supposed to be one of my capabilities, right? But, you know, all of you here, you're not necessarily designers or artists. You might be mathematicians or authors or actors, but just draw something. Okay, on that note, I'll stop share so I can see the chat box. And then Seda, you'll take the slideshow again. Great. And thank you for everyone for coming. We just need 4 more people to reach our record number high 100 people at the virtual tea. So that's really great. Oh, I love that. I'll read some of these as you draw and we'll all share with our cameras in a minute. But from Nancy, spinning plates, from Ayse, blurry rainbow. Wow. And what's powerful about metaphors is that they make complex ideas simple. So as I'm reading these and thinking spinning plates, I'm thinking, wow, that's really requires a lot of dexterity not to have a plate fall off, or the blurry rainbow that's not sharp. It's, you know, the leafing tree, which gives me so much hope, from Kathy, and stretched to the breaking point, Vicky, James, Mello, and a phoenix rising from Dr. Benjamin, beautiful. And Daniel Stillman, great. Hi, Daniel, thank you for coming. Daniel and I just did a podcast very recently. He's an amazing master. Daniel, is that the link to our podcast? I hope so. If not, let's put it up there.
It's a drawing of being drained.
Oh, cool. Well, let me check that out. Let me see if I can share this and show it to everyone. Everyone, can you see the, oops, Daniel's drawing of a draining water glass? Very expressive, very nice. Thank you, Daniel. You would think that by now I'd be a Zoom master, kind of just like, come on, where's my Zoom? Stop sharing. Okay, I'm back. And I'm just picking up where I left, tubing down a lazy river. Beautiful. Dennis's metaphor, beautiful. Support structure. Dennis, you might be drawing this, but it makes me wonder what kind of support structure. Like in New York, we have a lot of scaffolding. So is it like a scaffolding or what it is? And then Imad Saif says, light bulb over your head, but glasses foggy and out of focus. I love that. So like brilliant ideas, but slightly foggy and out of focus. A broken heart. Oh, Joanne, I'm sorry. I hear you. And then Yeshim, feel like a crayon. Sometimes in the mood to play, sometimes melting under stress. Very cool. Like a purple crayon. You kind of discover as you go along. Beautiful. Caterpillar busting out. And then Seda is also my time police. So Seda, when I go on too long, you tell me. Cloud covered moon, beautiful. Horizon. And Todd, hi Todd, I was just referencing you, saying that you inspired us to try different exercises. And actually this one was one of your exercises you had suggested to us.
Yes, thanks, Ayse.
Yeah, it's great to see you. Ramsey, don't worry, you'll catch up on the next one. We're just drawing our feelings as a metaphor and sharing the metaphor in the chat box. So if a metaphor, if you can express your feelings through a metaphor, just add it to the chat box. Verda, I'm so glad you're here. Chip teacup, beautiful. I love chip teacups, actually. They're full of family histories. So Jack Gelman, flying fast and getting nowhere. Oh man, I know the feeling. Judith, up and down. Renee, tree stems reaching up to the air and sun. And I just love reading these, sorry, because they inspire me how you're so incredibly creative and kind of just like that can come up with metaphors for how you're feeling. I'm in awe of your creativity. And Berk Ilhan Berk, thank you for coming. Spacecraft that's going through an apocalypse. You might want to watch some Star Trek for how to get out of that. Marnie, Supernova, Eileen, hi. Free solar on my highest climb yet. Beautiful. Did you watch the Free Solo film? I love that film. Eric, slip sliding away. And AJ, long narrow countryside. Road with small bumps. Okay. I'm going to, oh, beautiful. Alex to everyone. That's really brilliant. Alex, could you unmute yourself and tell us how you did that drawing? So cool. Is Alex still there? Is everyone, can everybody see Alex's drawing? I think it's a huge chat box innovation right there. Very cool. Great. So thank you, everyone. Now we'll stop sharing the screen so we could see the gallery view. And if everyone can hold their drawings, their metaphors, and we'll take a group picture.
Ready?
Love it.
Let's do it in 3 seconds. Getting ready? Okay, 3, 2, 1. Take a picture.
But then we have a couple more. We have 100 people to hold. So please hold your drawings a little bit more. Hi, Jack. Welcome back. It's really nice to see you.
So next one.
Next
so 3,
group.
2, 1. All right, ready? All right, I think we just took the picture. Great.
Nice. Yeah, and most other people are not showing
screen
on camera. Okay, so perfect. Oops. I don't know what happened, but my backstage is acting up. Okay, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. There are many people that we've been doing the teas together with, and some new people who are joining us, especially from the LinkedIn live session that I did today with my dear friend Alex Osterwalder. So thank you for joining us and giving this a try. We're very happy to see you, and I just need you to reach out to 2 of your friends and say, come join, because with 2 more people we're going to reach 100 people. I'm just joking. So with that, let's do our next exercise, which is using the metaphor tool, but in a different way. So and to move into it, the reason that we're using this exercise is to help us differently. And Peter Drucker's quote is a great quote to get us into this space. So I love it when other people read our quote. So could somebody volunteer to read this quote?
If you want something new, you have to stop doing something old. Peter Drucker.
Thank you. Father of modern management. So today we're finding ourselves in a situation where we need to do things differently and stop doing what we used to do and learn to do new things. And this made me think about the toilet seat that I've designed for Toto. And the way that I could think differently about it was by using a metaphor. You know, when I'm designing products and services and deconstructing, reconstructing, in the beginning, what I find is I'm really kind of held down by the things I know. So when I was designing the toilet seat, all I could think about was the toilet seats that, you know, I've used all my life. And I couldn't really get out of that kind of almost automated preconception of this is how a toilet seat is supposed to be. And what really helped me get out of my funk was thinking through a metaphor and realizing that, hold on one second, we sit on a toilet seat. What else do we sit on? We sit on chairs. So what if this toilet seat is really a seat? It's a chair, except that it has a hole in it. And that metaphor really changed the way I was thinking about the whole kind of challenge of how do you make a comfortable toilet seat? And I literally I was inspired by Arne Jacobsen's work and his ant chair and the simplicity of it, but also the fact that, you know, how it moves in space, its 3-dimensionality. And it led to this toilet seat that's since been coined the world's, unofficially, I should say, I can hear Leah telling me unofficially, Ayse, yes, it's unofficial. But it's unofficially the world's most comfortable toilet seat, simply because it's designed like a chair. So it's larger, it has more support surface. The front of it scoops down so it doesn't bite into your legs, and the back of it has a little actually backrest so that you can really be seated comfortably. So with that, I want to get us to think about our life through a metaphor. And the metaphor, you know, you can pick your own metaphors, and you just demonstrated how beautifully you did that. But I want to give you a metaphor that feels really apt for a moment in crisis moments, and that is metamorphosis. And I have Mafa with us, who's our butterfly specialist. So Mafa, I'm trying to learn my metamorphosis verbiage right, but you'll correct me if I make a mistake. So what's metamorphosis? Seda, you want to show us the next slide? Metamorphosis is a caterpillar creating a cocoon, and it's not a cocoon, so it's a chrysalis when it comes to, right? So I'll change that, a chrysalis, and then from the chrysalis, transforming itself into a butterfly. And I think that this is really an apt metaphor for our times, because we're sheltering in place, and we are inside our chrysalis. And while we're inside there, everything that we know is breaking down, except for certain things that we want to keep. But we're truly in the messy middle. And like a butterfly, we don't know when we're going to come out of our chrysalis. But one thing is for sure, we're going to come out of that, and we're going to take off and fly. We have to. And that's the optimist in me speaking. So with that, what I want to do is I'll share my example of that, so you could see how we're going to think about the metamorphosis. Is think about what are the things that you keep from before, the few things. And for me, that's deconstruction, reconstruction. That's how I think. So I'm not letting that go. The thing that I'm learning inside chrysalis is how important loving is, and loving and showing my gratitude towards people that are part of my life. And the thing that will help me in the future, literally my wings, are my collaborations with my friends that have gone through the roof in this moment, and that are truly preparing me for this future. I don't quite know what that future is, but I do know that I am stronger with my friends and through our collaborations. So with that, now I'm turning it to you and saying, think about, and I think next slide will have the prompts really written out. What are the things that you're going to keep from before as a caterpillar? The few things, one or two things that you feel, those are your superpowers, or truly part of who you are, that you're not going to give up. But then enter the chrysalis and know that we're in the messy middle. What are the things that you're discovering or learning about yourself, about your capabilities, about your surroundings, that you want to make part of your butterfly? And then the third piece of it is, we haven't come out yet, and we're not flying yet, but what are things that will help you take off once we do come out? So that we could truly use this moment as a moment of transformation. I don't know if you're like me, but one thing that I don't want to have happen is come out this space and just go back to the same old, same old. That to me feels unacceptable. And there's things that I learned that I want to use going forward. So with that, please put these things, and you could just say caterpillar, chrysalis, butterfly as a code word inside the chat box, and then we'll, and James says, feels like a project review. That's funny. Well, I don't know any project reviews that use the metaphor of metamorphosis, but it's not a bad one, actually. Maybe that's what we should do. And while you're doing that, I will start looking at, oh, I hit 100. And then one person took off, but 99 is actually a great number. So everybody stay put. Let's stay 99 people. I love it. Thank you, Marnie, for pinging us on that. And Alexandra says, this is what I was teaching my kindergarten the other day. I love that. Transformative change, yes. Alexandra, were you teaching them about the process or were you teaching them about the metaphor?
Just about the process, because I'm doing distance learning now. I became teacher suddenly. So one of their teachers had caterpillars, and we were monitoring how they go from a caterpillar to a butterfly. It was pretty amazing. And I'll go back to Alex's books from the strategizer. We need to think as kids. We need to go back.
Exactly. We need to think like kids, and that's the mood of design, being playful. Thank you so much, Alexandra. Yes. And yes. Now you can teach kids, maybe older kids, that, you know, this is a really a precious metaphor for life. In this moment especially, but I think it's also life and work, to James's point, for moments of transformation. I love that, the things that everybody's putting in. Okay, while you're doing that, I'll say hello. Hi, Eric. Good to see you. Thank you for coming back. And Susan, it's really nice to see you. Cynthia, Verda, and some new faces, Nancy, Mariam, thank you for coming back. And Mafa. Mafa, I did good, right? At least I learned the chrysalis part. And then Susan is here, Ayse is here, Bruno, welcome. Laura and Alyssa, you're here. My guest is here. Hi, Alyssa, I love it. Very cool. I'm so excited about you being here today. And then Leah is here. Leah Virsel, welcome back. Allah, nice to see you. John, good to see you. Welcome back. Very cool. And Mimi is here. Hi, Mimi. Benjamin is here. Ben is here. Very cool. So I might not get to everyone, and but it's just, you know, the best thing I did in this moment in my chrysalis is starting these virtual teas, and they're the highlight of my week. So thank you for coming. And I'm starting to look at some of your answers that are simply beautiful. Oh, Marnie, we don't know that story. You want to tell it? You want to unmute yourself?
Oh, hello, everyone. I'm from Toronto, Canada. The story is about a young boy and his kindergarten teacher, and they were on a field trip exploring the butterflies, and the little boy saw the cocoon trying to, the caterpillar trying to struggle its way out of the cocoon, out of the chrysalis, and so he tried to help the butterfly. And then the little butterfly flew and dropped to the ground and died, and the little boy, he cried, and he was devastated, and he ran back to his teacher and he said, "What happened? I tried to help the butterfly." And the teacher said, "But that struggle is essential for the butterfly to gain the strength in its wings that it needs to fly."
That, Marnie, first of all, you have a beautiful voice and storytelling capability that I love. Thank you so much for sharing that. And you're gonna make me cry, but it just gives meaning to the struggle that we're in right now. And I love that. And you're making me think, this is really, Marnie made one of the key things that I wanted to share with you all about metaphors. The reason I love them is because they are a gift that keeps on giving. So you could, I've only given 3 prompts about this metamorphosis metaphor, but there's so many of them. Like Marnie just opened us up to thinking about, through this metaphor, you know, the importance of our struggle and what is this moment of struggle helping us strengthen? That's a question that we can ask ourselves to make certain things more apparent and make peace with certain things that we're doing. Very similarly, when we're designing products and services, we acknowledge certain difficulties or challenges as our opportunities. So we might say, it's really hard to make this thing less expensive, but at the same time, that is what opens up new possibilities. So turning the constraint into the opportunity. Marnie, you're reminding me of one of my stories. So when my kids, I have 2 daughters who are now teenagers, but when they were little, one time, and only one time, and you'll know why, we raised butterflies together. So I got the butterfly kit, and then we set it up, and lo and behold, one day we hear this click, and suddenly the butterflies come out of the cocoon. And I thought, well, this is great. Let's take the butterflies to the park and free them. And so my girls at the time were, I think, 4 and 5. The 3 of us, we go, and Bibi actually as well. So the 4 of us, we go to Bryant Park, and you know, the butterfly thing is like this netting, and you kind of open the zipper and open it up, and the butterflies all came out. There were 4 butterflies. Guess what happened? The first 3 were eaten by the birds at Bryant Park almost immediately in front of our eyes. So, and so you might think, well, okay, Ayse, how am I going to think about that through the metaphor? That makes me think about, okay, it's not all rosy when you come out of the cocoon. In fact, you know, you're a thing of beauty and you're flying, but there are also dangers out there. But knowing about them could make us think about, through this metaphor again, you know, what are the dangers? What's the competition? How are we going to protect ourselves against those things? So in a way, that's what I mean by a metaphor is a gift that gives on giving, because you could really think about different pieces of your life through the metaphor and through your experience of what transformation is. Okay. Seda says it's time to move on, but I want to, thank you, Seda. I want to, James, do you want to talk about your solution solving approach to the metaphor, and let's listen to you? You want to unmute?
How do you mean my solution solving response? Those are the set of skills that I have. So going into the chrysalis, I already possess those, if that makes sense. So it's not something that I'm looking to add. It's something that is inherent, it's within, and I go into the chrysalis with that already. Whereas I think of the chrysalis as where you get to decide what you can, to a certain extent, let go of before you move forward.
I love that. You want to continue with your chrysalis and butterfly?
So for what I choose to discard along the way is my habit of switch tasking, which I always used to think of multitasking, but it's not. So it's the way in which I distract myself from doing what I need to do at the time, which is just to focus on one thing, get that done, and then move on.
I love that. And I think that's something that a lot of people are trying to learn in this moment, is to focus, hold the focus, finish one thing and move on. So thank you so much for sharing. And do you want to tell us what you were thinking in terms when you wrote, it feels like project management? Are you thinking this is something you can apply?
Because it's kind of I work in technology, so I work in consultancy. So my day consists of solving problems. And so that's where my mindset is.
Very cool.
And
Thank you. I
so
love that
this
you.
time has given me, sorry, so this period has given me time to look at how I address things and how I progress things, and has given me time to decide how some of that needs to change.
Thank you. I want to, if I may, call on one other person before we move on, and I'll pass the baton to Alyssa. Anyone who'd like to unmute themselves and share? Or shall I call on someone?
Sorry.
Go ahead. Who's this?
Mafa.
Hi, Mafa.
So the thing that that I want to keep going forward from the caterpillar stage is empathy. And the thing that I'm learning is how important human contact is.
Yeah.
And then what's going to help me fly is my inner strength and also focusing on gratitude.
That's beautiful. Mafa, thank you so much. So I think you had done the this metamorphosis exercise before. I'm just curious, do you feel like you thought differently today, or are similar themes emerging?
No, I think it's very different. I don't even remember what I did last time, but I think last time I was thinking more that the middle phase, there were things to leave behind, and we talked about the waste,
Yeah.
the meconium, that in that transformation, in the metamorphosis, there's waste product that comes that you leave that behind.
Right. Thank you. So with that, I'm going to invite everyone to, if you'd like, continue to add to the chat box, but also please read, because this is one of the amazing things about our collaboration, is seeing how we all think both similarly and differently, and inspire each other. So I love the conversation that happens here between me and you, but also the conversation that happens in the chat box. And before we go to Alyssa, Todd, I just want to, you're like a guru of metaphors, and you put a quote by Aristotle. Do you want to read that out loud?
Sure. It's one of the quotes that I reference all the time. The greatest thing by far is to be a master of metaphor. It is the one thing that cannot be learned from others. It is also a sign of genius, since a good metaphor implies an intuitive perception of the similarity in the dissimilar. So we're making cognitive connections between things that are unlike to help communicate them to other people, or even to ourselves, to wrap our own minds around it.
Todd, thank you. What an excellent quote to make us all feel like we're the genius in the room. So thank you. But it's true. I mean, I'm just, again, in awe of the creativity here, because coming up with metaphors truly does require a special cognitive skill. Even though, you know, I make play of it, and but I'm just excited by how you responding to it. And I mean, Aristotle thinks that it's a sign of genius, so who's to argue? Thank you for that. And what I'm going to leave you is with, and you could make a note of this, is what are some of the new insights and opportunities that come to your mind through this metaphor of metamorphosis? And with that, let's now, it's time for me to introduce my dear friend, the amazing Alyssa Cohn, who is the #1 startup coach in the world. So this is very precious. And she's one of the top 30 global gurus for startups, where she has an incredible an incredible experience with startups and entrepreneurs, but also working with CEOs from corporations. So with that, Alyssa, I did a drawing of you. I hope you like it. And
It's so beautiful.
Well, you're beautiful. And one thing about Alyssa is she has a beautiful heart and a smile that reflects that. So to see her better now, let's quit the slides. And if you'd like to see Alyssa, you can make speaker view or pin her, and we'll be able to see.
I love your Zoom dexterity, Ayse. How impressive.
Thank you,
Very
Alyssa.
good.
It only happens with my dear team, so it's a team effort, but I'm glad you think so. Okay.
Amazing. Okay. So, hi, everybody. Oh my God, Ayse, thank you for sharing all that and your beautiful introduction. I'm just looking at you, and as always, not a hair out of place, and you're always so put together and elegant, and you're always so erudite as you were today. And then you tell us the story about your kids and the butterflies and seeing them torn limb from limb in front of their eyes. So that was a contrast and a good story. So thank you. And I love, especially always, I always benefit so much from your, insistence that we do the drawing, because I am not I'm an abstract thinker. Thank you very much. And I like the idea of holding two ideas sort of separately, the way I know that you also do, like sort of, two separate ideas and finding the commonalities. But I'm not a draw girl. I'm a word girl. I'm a word girl. And so today I want to talk to everybody, because Ayse and I talked about what should I focus on. And I was thinking about what to tell her. And I was thinking about what happened when I was 14 years old. So I was in this youth group, and this youth group was not a movies and bowling youth group. It was kind of an intellectual conversation youth group. And I was on the bus with one of my friends, and I was 14 years old, and we were going to some camp overnight to have intellectual conversations. And she said to me, what would you do when we grow up, what would you like to do for work that you would just do no matter what, because you loved it, you didn't care about the money? And I said, immediately, have intense conversations, because that's what I loved to do. And so I became a coach, and here I am always having intense conversations with people. It's like I got to, fulfill my childhood dream of having intense conversations with people. And what happens is I have an intense conversation with somebody, as you can imagine, and they're kind of done, because not everybody wants to have the intense conversations that I do, but that's okay, because I get someone else to have an intense conversation with. So that's what I really care about. I care about purpose and meaning and meaningful discussion. And for me, meaningful discussion comes out of questions. So when Ayse and I talked about what should I sort of focus on today in the few minutes we have together, I really thought a lot about questions and how we are talking to ourselves right now, and the kinds of questions we're asking. Because I know with my clients and also with my friends, regularly they're asking questions, and I will sort of say, hey, is that even the right question to ask? So I have a few examples of what I consider to be powerful reframes of a question that some of my startup CEOs and also actually some of my friends are asking. So the first one that came to mind is a conversation I had today with one of the CEOs who I coach, and he's running a startup. And I don't know how many of you folks are entrepreneurs, or if you're solopreneurs, or maybe many of you. But I would just say that right now, startup CEOs are having a moment. It has been, I know everybody knows this, a very difficult time for them in terms of fighting for their lives, for their businesses, because it's very much like a question of, are we running out of funding? Do we have the capacity to raise another round? So he's been on heightened alert for months. And then this new sort of atrocity in our world showed up. So what he said to me today was, we were slow to react. I was slow to react to the team and to send out a communication to the team about what was going on in the world. And I sent it out, but it was Tuesday, not Monday. And I really think I should have sent it out on Sunday. So we were talking about that a little bit. And so he was like, why did I do that? Why didn't I see? Why didn't I see? So I said, what's a better question for us to be asking? What are you really wondering? And he said, I really need to know, how I can make sure I catch this in the future so that I'm not clouded all the time by the sort of the muck and mire of my everyday. And I really see that there's a moment here that I need to step into the role of CEO. So that's the question we sort of began to frame for him. What do I need to do to make sure I'm in the right space? And how do I make sure that I see these issues sort of in the future? So that's one example. Another example is from a friend I was having a chat with today. She's in DC, and she's been going through a little bit of a malaise, like not unlike many of us. So we talked about that a bit. And she said, you know, it's really silly because I know that if I would work out, I would feel much better. I always feel much better when I work out, but I'm not doing it. And then also, I know that if I put on certain kinds of music, I feel much better, but I'm not doing it. So I don't know why I'm not doing it. Why do you think I'm not doing it? And I said, well, I don't know. It seems to me the question is, what would it take for you to have that already in place? So like, is there an automatic support system that you can add for yourself to be able to make sure that either you're working out or even more easy, you have the music playing? And so we talked about that a little bit. It wasn't really that hard a question. The answer is she has a spouse, and the spouse can easily put on the music for her and then see if that changes her mood. Because I think, to me, the interesting next question is, see if you resist that, and be curious and interested in your experience of that, because that'll also give you a lot of sort of data and reflection about yourself. You know, back to you, Ayse, what you were talking about with the chrysalis, like the idea of what are we learning about ourselves is a very interesting question also to ask. And then the last example I want to give you is, it's not even the reframe of a question. I have a client who, she was told by the CEO, she said all of a sudden, we don't want you doing this anymore. We want you to run this partnership. So she was the head of sales. We don't want you to be the head of sales anymore. We want you to run this partnership instead. And she was so angry. Like she was like, I'm blindsided by this. I can't believe it. I'm going to quit. I'm so upset. She sort of was telling me all about this. And I said, you know, I think you probably knew about this as it was coming. He wasn't making a secret about it. What were you pretending not to know? And she realized that she was pretending not to know that she had done sales for quite a long time and she was good at it, but that running a new partnership, really being kind of a GM of a business, was something that was completely out of her comfort zone, and she was resisting it. And through that resistance, that's sort of the anger was showing up through the resistance. When we calmed her down, it was more a sense of like, wow, I'm really nervous about this. So I would invite you, and you can feel free to put in the chat, I should use the chat so lovely, questions in your own mind, if you'd like to, that you know that you can ask yourself differently. That could be a more powerful question to ask yourself. So powerful questions tend to have two attributes. First is they put you at cause. That it's not like, oh, why is this happening to me? Why is it always like this? Instead, it's like, I am at cause in this. I can do something about this. It kind of really puts you in the center of activity. So it gives you something to do. It gives you power and something to do. And the second is that it is forward motion. There's a future focused. Our mentor, Marshall Goldsmith, always says to me, and I agree, I can't change the past. I can only change the future. And for all of us, we want to think about what's a question that drives us forward, So you want to put some questions in the chat? Yeah.
I love this. I want to try this.
Okay.
Putting ourselves in the middle. So is the question like, it has to be like, am I? Is that like,
it
once
could
you
be,
say
or
am I, it makes it your thing?
It can be am I, or can I, or how do I?
How do I?
That
so it
kind
has
of
to
a
have
thing.
I in it.
I have to think about that. Does it have to have I in it? I do not know.
Okay.
It might, like, what can I do? How can I solve this? How can I think differently about this? So possibly, yes, those are powerful questions. Why is this happening to me? Saying more, why is this happening for me? I love that. That reminds me of, why do I have to work out this morning? And you can even say it's not a question, but it's, I get to work out this morning. That's the way I think about that. What do I gain from not occurring, from this thing not occurring? That's very powerful. Yeah, these are, oh my God, what beautiful questions. Gosh, can we save and distribute this chat? This is beautiful questions from everybody.
Absolutely. Isn't that great?
Yeah.
Also, we have, I had before when you were asking, do we have some entrepreneurs in the room? I had asked that. And we do have some entrepreneurs, and they said hello. So,
oh, good. Who are they?
To all the entrepreneurs, if you want to learn to ask the right questions, obviously Alyssa is the person. And Alyssa, you make me think, and I'm trying to think of how to put it, but Vivi always asks this question of who is benefited by the crime, or who does the crime benefit?
Definitely. That's, yes. What is the payoff for me?
Yeah.
Yep. And it's also about being honest with ourselves. So that's not even a forward motion question as much as it's a reflection question. Like, how, and that's very much at cause. How am I being at cause in all this? I love these questions. I want to go back to, what role do I play in this happening? Darcy, beautiful. How might I be approaching this contributing to the problem? Yes. Is that Monica? Hi, Dr. Benjamin Rittler. Hi, as a fellow entrepreneur. There's something I wanted to go to in the beginning. Where's the gift, Marnie? Thank you. Where's the gift in this challenging situation? Beautiful. And what can I do to unwrap the gift? And I would add, who am I being? Who do I need to be? Who can I be to unwrap the gift? Really thinking also about the state of being. Jack and Stephanie, yes, part of this is also, it's a we together for sure. And at the same time, sometimes it becomes me, as in one of my clients once said, how come those teammates aren't hearing my point of view? So listen, sometimes we are not heard. That is absolutely true. And the question might be, how can you, my client, meet them where they are? How can you think about reframing and communicating what you're doing and what you think in order to meet them where they are? So I leave you with that. I think the second thing I would just want to mention is that the other thing that I really, really, really love is table questions. So Ayse has been nice enough to send out my my table questions.
You just preempted my request for, so everyone, Alyssa is also an amazing dinner companion. And
thank you.
Just when, like, especially when you're sitting maybe with some new people and you're like, okay, what are we going to talk about? Alyssa will come up with these beautiful questions, which now everything is falling into place, Alyssa. Of course you do. And then we'll have like a 2-hour conversation and really get to know each other at a different level. So thank you. And with that, Alyssa, what are the questions that you always ask? I love those.
Well, some questions are, really it depends on the time and the space, but for today, in light of what's going on, we need to look for inspiration. So what's inspiring you right now? Or what are you grateful for, of course, right now, but also, is there a person in your life, who in your life are you grateful for, but maybe you haven't given enough thanks to, that you maybe have taken them for granted? Also, what's, maybe what I think about lately is also, what person right now in your life are you most resonating with and feeling connected with, and how come? And, Ayse, you taught me this. If those are the qualities you admire, that's you. How can you radiate those qualities out to other people as well? And then also, what are the activities and experiences, or maybe the food that brings you the most joy and comfort right now? These are the kinds of questions you can think about. And Ayse, I appreciate you saying that. That was so very sweet of you. Thank you. I certainly think it helps fill in awkward silences with having real talk, but also I like real talk and not small talk. And these days, if we don't take control of a conversation, believe me, all we're going to do is rant and rave about the current circumstances. And although that has its place, I would just invite everyone to sort of have a deeper discussion about what's really going on inside for all of us. And that, I think, is a very lovely sort of space to hold for other people.
Beautiful. Now, all we need to do is for us to be able to go out and have dinner together. You know?
Yes, exactly.
And
Or have virtual dinners. Yes.
Practice these questions. Thank you so much. So since Alyssa is a specialist of questions, how about we ask you a question? Any volunteers, any questions from the audience? To
Yeah.
Yeah,
What's
James,
the
go
thing
ahead.
that you're not doing at the moment that you think you ought to be doing?
What's the thing? Please, James, how much time do you got? What is the thing that I'm not doing that I ought to be doing? Professionally is probably being decisive on the direction I want to go with my book that I'm working on. That's professionally. I would say personally and professionally, I was just noticing this. What I need to do and want to do that I am intending to do is I need to find ways to take space between my meetings and activities and shift my focus, like shift my mind state and my heart state between those activities, because I just go from one thing to another and I don't give myself that transition time.
Yeah, and it can be really intense that way. So
yeah.
Having a jigsaw puzzle next to your table helps.
Oh, that's interesting. That's a great strategy.
Yeah.
Puzzles are having a moment.
Please join me. I'm going to try and unmute everyone. Let's see. Unmute. Maybe Meltem, you could do that. Yeah, I think you've unmuted everyone. Let's give Alyssa a big hand. So, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Alyssa is so busy. I had to try this 3 times. Now I'm going to embarrass you before I could really get her on the tee. But don't you think that was really worth it? That's really cool. We're putting, Meltem is putting in the chat box a link to Alyssa's questions, and I'll mute everyone again. Great. And also, Seda, let me unmute you, or unmute yourself. And Seda has an announcement because we're doing some fun things, and one of them is this weekend. So
yes. So if you want more of this and really get a full-time, 2.5 hours of reflecting on life and your new life design, we have a workshop coming up on this Saturday at 1 p.m. Eastern time. And I just posted the link, and we hope you can make it. It's all fun and games, and not only that, but it's also good introspection. So
yeah, we set it up as being playful, and I think you just saw it today. It's playful, deep thinking, which is the magic of design. Really, that's the power of design thinking for you, and the intersection between our life, our work, and design thinking is quite magical. So thank you so much for coming today and honoring us. This was our biggest tea yet. And when we started, we were saying if we could touch one person and they're happy, that makes a difference. But at the end of the day, your being here makes me happy and makes my team really happy. We learn so much from you. So thank you for coming, and hope you'll come again next Wednesday, 5 p.m. Eastern time. And one thing that we've learned from our aging study, Design the Life You Love 65 Plus, so from people who have lived the longest, is you need friends who are older and you need friends who are younger. So please invite older and younger friends so we can all do this together. So thank you.
9 years older, 9 years younger. So that's it.
There we go. All right. See you, everyone. Have a lovely week, and let's just rise above all the challenges and the difficulties that we've had in the past week and come together. This gives me hope. Ciao, ciao.
Thank you, Ayse.
Thank you. Thank you for coming, Daniel. Did you put in the podcast into the chat box?
No, I can, like, happily. It was one of my
please do, and then we'll
conversations.
share it, when we share the
We're going to include it in our thank you note.
oh, cool. Right, great. And everybody who's still here, and it's really nice to see you. Judith and Annette, thank you. And Rani, thank you. And Jack, thank you for coming. And Stephanie, very cool. Hi, Stephanie, nice to meet you. It was great to get to know Jack and now to meet you, so.
Likewise, thank you.
Great. Very nice. See you, Jack. And Beck, it's nice to see you. Always nice to see you. You look great. And John, it's really good to see you again.
Ayse, I'm here for the chocolate covered resins. Where are they?
Yeah. Here. How about a half bitten Oreo? Nice. And James, thank you for sharing. That was really great. And Burju, way past your bedtime, I think. But thanks for coming. Marnie, thank you for everything that you put into the chat box. Very, very inspirational. And thank you for your story.